The Lost City of Z follows the almost true-life account of Colonel Percival Foulkes, a British explorer who made several expeditions to the Amazon for mapping works. He became convinced of a hidden city that he says exists, filled with gold beyond our wildest imagination, a city which he dubs Z, which he says has existed just beyond the reaches of the white man's travels. Charlie Hunnam plays the title role, and you'll notice a couple of fellas from the Harry Potter films like Robert Pattinson and the guy who played Dudley. Also Emperor Palpatine is in the film as well, as is the new Spider-Man kid. One thing you have to know going into the movie is that you're gonna be disappointed if you are expecting loads of trailing in the jungle, tiger attacks, and savages and explorers tearing each other apart. The film is not, Apocalypto, it's not Fitzcarraldo, and it's not Indiana Jones either. In fact, there's probably just as much time dedicated to Foulkes' life at home in England as there is in the jungle. You do have to adjust your expectations, as I learned quickly while watching it. In fact, it's like the film intentionally tries to frustrate you, as it does its main character, by having him get so close to his goal, but then he is forced to turn back home after, say, running out of food. And then he sets off again, and then has to return again, and so on and so forth. The film is set up in that way. At times it feels like it's had its climax and the movie is about to finish, and then he sets off again on another journey. And in between the encounters with the natives and the painstaking journeys up the river, Apocalypse Now style, we watch as Foulkes deals with politics at home with his superiors and the fury of his wife and children who bemoan the time he spends away from them. It is quite a difficult story for the filmmakers to fit into a cohesive narrative whilst doing their best to remain true to the real-life story. In a way, and I don't mean to start a back in my day rant, but in a way this movie reminds me of films of old from the 60s and 70s. It does feel very raw and authentic, as it should because they really went to the jungle to film it, but it also at the same time it is shot and paced with finesse and delicacy, very modern at the same time. I will say one thing about the colour though. I felt the colour grading made the colours look very saturated, very intense and bright. It does make a nice change from all the washed out colours we see a lot of in recent cinema, but it did take away from the reality slightly. The Lost City is a 2.5-hour movie about a man exploring the Amazon jungle. You don't really see films like this anymore, and it's especially enticing for someone like me who loves a good exploration movie. And this is a good movie. It's not very epic, if that's the word to use. It's quite normative and as a matter of factly in the way it handles things, and as such I do think there will be, in fact there were when it came out, complaints that the movie is boring, but I found it very watchable. I found the production value really great, all the costumes and stuff, and of course the jungle which was real anyway. There's also a segment of the film set in the trenches of World War I and it looks absolutely brilliant. There's never a time in watching the film that you think these are all actors playing dress up, and it really does boost the immersion levels, as was the decision to shoot on 35mm film. I thought The Lost City of Z was a solid movie. It's a strong 7 out of 10. It's not lacking in excitement or full of gaffes, but at the same time there isn't a lot that elevates what is otherwise a competent and enjoyable movie.